Greetings, my dear friends. Things have happened in Venezuela. This reminds me of an old Hindi song which goes, Ye kya hua, kaise hua, kab hua, ab kya hoga, kab hoga, oh chodo, humse pucho. Basically, I'm saying what happened, how did it happen, when did it happen, what is likely to happen next. When will that happen? Oh, come on, ask me. We all know what happened. We do know that President Maduro was captured, abducted, and taken away to US by the Delta teams in an operation which was absolute resolve, lasting just about 3 hours. No casualties on the American side. Yet they achieved their aim in a totally surprise move. Why? How did they know exactly where was Maduro? Because don't forget, Maduro was not a kid. He was a president and he has been president for over 10 years. He was a vice president under Hugo Chavez. So he knew precisely that Americans are going to target him, are going to do something about it, and they were already out for a regime change. Yet, he allowed himself to be captured. How? My personal view is, don't forget, there was a Chinese delegation which met him barely hours before this operation. Effectively, the Chinese delegation confirmed it was not a body double, it was Maduro, the original. In hours, this operation takes place. And don't also forget, the operation was green lighted days before this. Therefore, what was responsible? The Chinese delegation? I have my doubts. I don't think China would do this. But the hint comes in a picture which Maduro posted himself with three Huawei phones, new ones, and said he trusts Huawei more than even Apple. He trusts Huawei to be a secure network, a secure phone. We all know how secure are Chinese phones. We all know they have backdoors for by the Chinese intelligence. And if Chinese intelligence can enter, why not the CIA? And that, in my opinion, is precisely what happened. Subsequent to that, we all know Chinese equipment, as they say in India, chale to chand tak, varna raat tak. And if it works, it can work till you reach the moon and back. But it generally ends up in the evening or by night. MQ-9 failed once again. Other equipment failed once again. Yes, there was Russian equipment. Yes, there was S-300. But the Venezuelans laid greater stress and greater trust on the Chinese equipment. That failed. China failed once again to stand with its friend Venezuela despite a $60 billion investment in this place. Why? Do they not have the capacity? Do they not have the technology? They have both, but they don't have the will to fight. That, my dear friends, answers the first set of questions that I raised. The second is who next? What happens now? Zelensky would love it to be Putin. Don't forget, Zelensky did attack with, in my opinion, help from Macron, Keir Starmer, that is France, and Britain. Because targeting the presidential residence in Novgorod, in deep inside Russia, so precisely with targeting data is something that Ukraine cannot do without help, external help, NATO help. So all this did come and Zelensky got all of that. Don't also forget there was an attack by Ukraine in Kherson on a hotel which killed at least 28 people. Iran is another state which is ripe for regime change. The people are out on the streets. They're battling devaluation of their currency by over 50%. Officially, a dollar is 450 riyals. Unofficially, it is 1.5, hold your breath, million riyals. That means it reminds me of the Weimar Republic where you carried a sack full of notes to get back a single loaf of bread. That is the state of Iran. The Ayatollahs, the mullahs are on the run because people are beating them up, and there is no saying what happens next. So, is a regime change likely in Iran? Of course it is. But will US engineer it? Do understand regime changes do not happen overnight. You have to lay the groundwork. In Venezuela, some part of the groundwork has been done, which is visible from the fact that Venezuelans themselves are celebrating, not all, but some of them are definitely celebrating the exit of Maduro. There was a candidate ready to take over from the opposition side, Machado. Of course, she is supporting the leader of the opposition who's at the moment sitting in exile in Spain. But there was some groundwork. 3 months plus of preparation with equipment, arms, aircraft, ships, all of them in place. Out here, that is not there. My view is, if you have to make such preparations, if you have to prepare so well in advance, one needs to look at the actions that the US has taken over the last few years, last few months actually, the last 1 year especially. Moment Trump came into power, what did he do? He started singing the song of Greenland. He said Greenland is very important for US security. There is a US station there for the purpose of monitoring any launches, especially of ICBMs, but he wants it for more. He wants the whole of Greenland to become US territory. He said he's willing to pay for it. He nominated a number of people who would front end the US mission for this purpose. Denmark has been resisting and resisting vehemently. So why is US so keen on Greenland? Please remember, the Venezuela operation was an operation, in my opinion, to control trade, especially of oil. Global trade is governed by the SLOCs or sea lanes of communications, and they all have their choke points. One major choke point right here is Panama Canal. And Trump focused on Panama Canal first and got the Chinese out from here. Then he started focusing on all the black trade that was happening from Venezuela on oil. Why? Because eastern refineries of the US are primed for Venezuelan heavy crude. And they were lacking this crude because Venezuela was not exporting to them. And that is why he made a song and dance of US wanting its rightful share, its rightful asset of oil from Venezuela, which was nationalized by Hugo Chavez many years back. He wanted Chevron back there. Therefore, Venezuela happened. Now the next big trade route that is going to open is the Arctic trade route. There are going to be 3 main routes out here. But Greenland holds the key to the Arctic trade routes. It also holds the key to the Arctic Council, which is dominated by the Russians. Because most of the Arctic is of Russia. Therefore, he wants a seat at this table, a primary seat at this table, and that cannot happen without the Arctic, without being in the Arctic, and therefore Greenland. My view, the next target of Trump is going to be Greenland. What are your views? Do confirm, do comment, do let me know. Till then, till my next video, it is Chax from ChaxSimplifies signing off with a request, please like, subscribe and share this video. Till then, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.